third base. Truth don't hide, it just waits for a face, Big footprints in a pine slick path. Bob Lazar files with a government laugh. Court dates lost in a sea of red tape. We ain't 10-4, we just stay awake. True crime tales in a borrowed voice. We speak for the silence, not by choice. Got boots on the dirt and eyes on the skies, digging up stories they hoped would die. Mic, truth, and thunder, we don't back down. With a Bible in the glove box and boots on the ground. Aliens, lies, and backroom deals. We break that silence, 'cause the soul feels real. Military broadcast, midnight run, teaching vets how to speak what the war's done. From trigger pulls to microphone stands, from combat zones to healing hands. Public records, missing names, unsealed files, classified games. We chase what's buried, not what trends, and we pray for light at the truth's deep end. Mic, truth, and thunder, we don't back down. With a Bible in the glove box and boots on the ground. Aliens, lies, and backroom deals. We break that silence, 'cause the soul feels real. Some chase fame, we chase the facts. Some fold quick, we read the tracks. It ain't paranoia if it's always been there, and we ain't scared to lay it bare. Into the storm. We ain't perfect, but we were made for this form.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. I'm Amber.
And I'm Laura.
And I hope everybody had a really great Thanksgiving.
Yes.
We had a good one. We actually started off the morning by our power going out.
Yeah, I heard a big pop. Kind of almost sounded like a deer got shot, but it just turned out it was our electricity. So,
yeah, my husband thought it sounded like a deer got shot like right in front of our window. So I don't know how close the transformer is to our house, but it's obviously pretty close.
I don't know. It kind of sounded more like down the road to me, but regardless, I'm glad that everything ended up working out. We didn't have to pitch any food or anything like that. So.
Yeah, and Laura made a really good lasagna soup, right?
Did you even eat any?
I did eat some.
Oh, okay. I was like, I only think like 2 people ate it, but I thought it was pretty good. I don't know, just some stupid stuff I saw on Pinterest, nothing crazy.
Yeah, and I made my fried Brussels sprouts. That's a family tradition. We can't have
Don't be a hater.
Yeah, we cannot have a family event without fried Brussels sprouts.
They're good if you take all the health out of them.
Yeah, so. They're very good. Okay. Let's see. We got Sam is a new member.
Hello.
Nice.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. So we've also got Miss Fancy Pants in the chat.
Hello, Miss Fancy Pants.
Good to see you. And she said, I just want to be the first to say I'm so proud of Stephanie for using her story to make changes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And actually, Miss Fancy Pants, she is going to be on our show on Tuesday, I believe. And we're going to talk to her about her story. And she's the one who actually got me connected with Stephanie tonight, who we're talking to.
So really good things to come.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, talking about some more tough subjects, but there are things that need to get out there. So we're happy to use what little platform we have to try and raise the voices of people that need to be heard. So
yeah. So actually, we're going to get into it because they have wrestling tonight on. So that's why we're actually an hour early every last Saturday of the month while wrestling is going on. We push our show back 1 hour.
This is news to me, but it's just fine.
Or forward 1 hour. Yeah.
Forward 1 hour. So.
Yeah. So anyways, tonight we're diving into a case that exposes major failures in Utah's child protection system. We'll be discussing how a known offender, Jonathan Soberanis, slipped through legal loopholes for years while Utah's agencies dismissed or ignored repeated red flags. Our guest is Stephanie Davis, and she's a Utah mother whose child was directly impacted. She spent weeks reviewing ring camera footage, got no help from state agencies, and watched case after case just get dropped because of incompetency rulings. And it's just been a whole thing. It took federal agents, not the state, to finally get him off the streets. And we're talking about what really happened, how the system failed. And this is crazy, but why Utah's Attorney General didn't expect parents to fight this hard, and what needs to be changed to protect children in Utah. So we're actually going to watch a short video introducing Stephanie, and then we'll bring her up.
Despite multiple arrests, including for a felony aggravated sexual abuse of a child, a Utah man has never been convicted, let alone gone to trial for his alleged crimes against children. Every time it came down to competency. But Jonathan Soberanis now faces federal charges, which some hope change everything. KSL investigator Courtney Johns explains.
The federal prosecutor has compared the question of competency in Jonathan Soberanis' case to that of Brian David Mitchell, the man who kidnapped Elizabeth Smart. Now, you may remember, Mitchell was found not competent to stand trial in a Utah court, but then he was charged in federal court. Federal evaluators then deemed him competent, and he was convicted. That example has one mother saying she is not giving up hope.
We love this place. It's been our home for 7 years.
A place once simply called home.
I never thought like this is where we would be from it either.
For Stephanie Davis, the word home now has a heaviness to it.
Who is this guy? What did he want? Why was he here?
In January of 2022, Stephanie's 7-year-old son phoned her saying a man was looking through their window trying to get in.
He just knew he was in danger.
Stephanie and her husband called police and rushed home. Stephanie says he never got inside, and doorbell footage led authorities to their neighbor, Jonathan Soberanis. Police arrested him on suspicion of voyeurism, and that is when Stephanie says she learned about his history. 4 years earlier, this video shows West Valley City Police arresting Soberanis on suspicion of lewdness involving a child.
No, let me call my mom first. Please, let me call my mom.
Initially, he is heard saying he thinks he's in trouble for exposing himself to a boy at the Southtown Mall.
You're going to get more charges. I need a lawyer.
But he soon learns officers are there because a father reported he caught Soberanis looking underneath his son's dressing stall at the West Valley Recreation Center.
Were you masturbating? Yeah? Okay.
Then in 2021, police are called about an incident involving a 5-year-old at the Lehigh Legacy Center. They arrest Soberanis on several charges, including aggravated sexual abuse of a child, a first-degree felony. This is what happened when police tried to arrest him at his home the next day. In the last 10 years, Soberanis has been charged on at least 5 separate occasions with committing crimes of a sexual nature involving children. In 4 cases, he was found not competent to stand trial, and his cases were dismissed. Court records show past court-appointed evaluators reference several potential diagnoses, including autism, depressive disorder, and ADHD.
He's competent. He has to be.
Stephanie's case is one of those 4. But a 5th case is still ongoing, this time in the federal court. Investigators claim Soberanis used a New Zealand storage platform with end-to-end encryption to download and distribute child pornography. And they suggest he may be more competent than past evaluators have documented. And unlike his other cases, Soberanis is now being evaluated by federal experts outside of Utah, which gives Stephanie hope of a different outcome.
He deserves to be sentenced for every one. He thought he was getting kidnapped.
Regardless of what happens, she is focused on her son, who spent months after his encounter setting up makeshift traps around the house.
Anything that he, in his mind, would bring him safety, that he could catch the bad guy.
It's easier to talk about
I don't think I've told anyone that.
now that they're moving.
It's hard to think of it being so real.
Stephanie hopes their next home won't hold so much pain.
Do you really believe that you failed him that night?
It wouldn't have happened if we were here.
Soberanis has an evidentiary hearing in federal court later this week. A competency hearing is scheduled for November.
Wow. Okay. So that is what Stephanie's been dealing with. So we're going to bring Stephanie up now.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Hello, Stephanie, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, when I heard you say that at the end, that touched me. That got me. Well, I want to thank you for your courage of actually caring. And,
Absolutely.
A lot of people or a lot of children get hurt, but not a lot of parents go the extra mile that it takes to keep them. Take action, keep them safe, and keep other children safe as well.
Absolutely.
So I thank you very much for doing what you're doing, because that takes a lot of courage, especially going up against lawmakers and things like that.
It's scary.
I bet it is. And we support every bit of it. We support you 100%.
Thank you.
So can you just kind of tell us what happened to get you here today?
Just from the beginning, there was an evening where my husband and I had stepped out to assist a friend that needed something, and we went down the road to pick up what she needed, and not even 3 minutes from our home. And, it was a washing machine. So we're like loading it in the back of my husband's truck. And then in that time, I get a phone call when we're driving home, actually, and my son is screaming. And I have never heard a fear like that before in my child. And he's just saying, "Mom, I'm going to get kidnapped. Somebody's here and they're going to kidnap me." And so my husband just floors it because we're just down the road. And in that time, I told him, I'm like, "Breathe, lock the door. We're on our way. Like, you're okay. Breathe." And then I'm at the same moment pulling up the footage on my Ring doorbell to try to see, like, is he imagining something? Is it something that it's not? And he thinks that's what's happening. Like, what's going on? And then within seconds, I saw the man on my doorstep, and I could see him peeping through the windows, and it didn't look innocent, and it looked really scary. So in that, we, pull up. Our garage was on the bottom floor, and my husband runs up through the garage. And as you saw in that video, the side stairs right there, I ran up those side stairs to try to catch whoever was there. And by the time I had gotten there, he was gone. And in that moment, it was just trying to unpack what just happened and, rationalize that it probably wasn't what we thought it was, that it just, anyways, we're just frantic about it, trying to put it all together. And then in the last video that we had, we can see him kind of running around the corner towards the back of the pickleball court to round back into the buildings. And then we saw him, it looked like he went into one of the homes across from us. And that home happened to be one of my husband's ex-coworker. And we knew that he had a man living with him. Essentially, he was hired to take care of this man. And so we said, "Hey, is this your roommate? Because it looks like he runs right into your house, like on our footage." And he goes, "No, that can't be Jonathan. It can't be him. Like, it looks like a DoorDash driver." I mean, the dude's barefoot, like, and so anyways, like, and in the video, I believed we were looking for a Caucasian man, just because the infrared lighting made him look white to me. So in that, like, Jonathan is Hispanic. So I kind of got thrown off there in the beginning, and I believed him. He brought Jonathan out to my face that very night when I was taking my dogs to the bathroom, and he was like, "This is Jonathan. It wasn't him. He's, So I met Jonathan face to face hours after he had plotted whatever he was plotting, and I didn't even realize it.
Wow.
And he was acting really nervous, and I just chalked that up to his autism. And over the next several days, I went through all of my doorbell footage from weeks past. And then I ended up, my sister-in-law lives just a few doors down from us. And we were at breakfast one morning for my husband's birthday. And I just said, can I look at your guys' ring footage? Can I look at yours to see if because they're in the same building. So let me just investigate yours, please. And they gave it to me, no problem. And I had found him on their doorbell footage as well, peeping through their windows right before leading up to peeping into mine.
Oh, wow.
So in that, our unit towards the end where it's dark, there's not any cars, there's no people really, but their unit is exposed to the street. So it just made sense for him to want to probably go hide and look and do what he was doing. But in all of this, the next morning, I go straight to the police department because I'm realizing it's probably a sinister. I'm looking up all the sex offenders in my neighborhood, trying to make sense of it. He was barefoot, so he had to have lived close. He left, came back with shoes on and a mask to cover his face. And doing my own investigation. The police said they were going to do theirs, but in that same time, it was maybe about a week. I had looked up, like I said, every offender, any lead, anything I could come up with. I was just emailing them over and over and over. And then it came back one day, somebody sent me an article of Jonathan. And at this point, we knew the state was looking for him. He was hiding up in Idaho. And he worked at a mall up in Idaho. Mind you, this whole time they're saying he's incompetent, meaning his disabilities interfere so much with his life that he can't understand a court proceeding. He can't defend himself in court. So they're saying that he can't understand that, but he holds a job. He's able to cover up his past crimes the next time by not repeating the same actions that got him caught the time before. There's just so much happening. We had a detective come up to our door at one point, and he told us that Jonathan was wanted by multiple state agencies, and we only knew his first name at this point. We didn't know his history yet. And so we're like, who are we dealing with? A trafficker? The options are endless at this point when they say multiple states are after this guy.
Yeah.
So in our minds, it's just so much bigger than we even realized. And one day, one day my friend sent me an article, and it was of my story that I hadn't even realized went that public yet. And then it had linked him back to the Legacy Center case that happened in Lehigh with the 5-year-old boy. I had realized at that moment that the man that was on my doorstep was the same very man I saw 6 months prior in the news for harming a 5-year-old in unspeakable ways.
Wow.
And it's just so frustrating because I'm like, how is this? And I even remember that article. It popped up when the Legacy case popped up in my news feed when I was scrolling. I screenshotted it and sent it to my husband. And I said, that's the same rec center we go to. We can never allow our son to go to the bathroom alone. We need to look out for this guy. He's local. And then literally 6 months later, he was on my doorstep.
Wow. So tell us what you were feeling at that time, because I can only imagine I would be first panicked and scared, but then I would get really angry.
Yeah. Anger is a good description.
Yeah. Anger is a good description, and it's a good motivator as well, right?
Yeah. And just knowing that I have my own story to tell that is totally separate from this. And in that, I never wanted harm to my I wanted to protect my children in this area at all costs. And that's always been my goal as a mother, for my children to never experience this type of trauma.
No.
And for it to be so close, it ignited a fight in me I didn't even know I had.
Yeah, well, sometimes anger makes the world go round. Anger makes things happen, honestly. So can you tell us about how the authorities didn't help you. I mean, you were the one combing through this ring footage. So kind of tell us where the authorities left you.
I think they, in the back end, kind of had an idea the whole time who it was. It was just about proving it and catching up with him. And I know that he's been arrested so many times before, and Lehigh Police Department has arrested him in that several times. And I know that this time they knew they had to do everything right. As far as the arrest, the reports, the charges, everything had to be right so that the courts would maybe do the right thing this time. And I know that they worked hard on this case. Unfortunately, Utah law is not there to help us. And back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, I guess, I don't know the exact decade, but Utah had a law that anyone that was incompetent and unrestorable was to be placed in a mental hospital. Mm-hmm. There was severe abuse going on in those hospitals to these people. And so they abolished that law. They just got rid of it. So now there is nowhere to put incompetent and unrestorable people. They are literally just released back into the public, no matter their crime.
Wow.
Jonathan never had to register as a sex offender, ever.
See, that just blows my mind.
It's disgusting. And that the fact that like Utah government watched him over and over do these things to children, and it progressed. It started with him watching and touching himself, and then touching them and touching himself, and then having them touch him. And it just
got worse.
From my understanding, even after his arrest on my case, they let him out into the public and he was still working. And the person who was assigned to him to be with him 24/7 as his watch from DSPD, they were not supposed to leave him at all within a 24-hour period. Side by side as he worked, they would leave him. There was an undercover officer watching him work. And on the federal side of it all, trying to get their investigation in row. And they watched him be left alone at the kiosk. And in this time, it's alleged that he followed a child into the into the bathroom, and took it all away. And he hurt a child allegedly to the worst ways. And he hadn't done that from what we know when he was arrested in my case.
So you're telling me that an undercover police officer watched him walk into the bathroom and then he assaulted a child?
That I don't know. I can't say that it happened at the same time. She had just witnessed at times them leaving him. So I don't know. I believe that she would. I believe that this person specifically would have done anything to protect a child. And if she witnessed it, she likely would have not let it go down. But it's this loophole that has just allowed him to get smarter, to continue to hurt children. And then, learning of his story in court, because I've been to every court date they've had, whether it was virtual back in early 2021 when nothing was in person, up to now where things are in person. I've been there. I think I've missed only 2, and it was because they didn't tell me about the court date for one reason or another. I don't know. But yeah, I actually missed the most recent one where the federal government found him, or the federal judge, found him incompetent, even though federal evaluators found him competent with accommodations. Yes.
Wow. But he was able to hold a job.
Oh, he could. So it comes out later that he had access to the dark web. He was able to send end-to-end encryptions. He knew to send little girl videos, to ask for little boy videos. He knew how to navigate the dark web. He knew how to access it and navigate it as if it was his second home. So tell me he's incompetent, but I'm not computer savvy, but I don't know how to even start to access the dark web.
Me either.
He was taught, obviously, and by somebody, but either way, he knew how to access it and he knew how to communicate. He knew to take conversations off of Instagram and move them to end-to-end apps and whatnot. This is my family account. Add me here at my X-rated account and da-da-da. He is way smarter than than he's playing. He knows how to play dumb, and he thought that he could get away with it.
So he's malingering as far as his.
That came up a lot in court, and his doctors who have evaluated him over and over and have known him his whole life. So they have a personal relationship. And these are the same doctors evaluating him for competency. They feel sorry for him. His story's sad. Like, he grew up in a very sad situation where pedophilia was very normal in their household for his family, his aunts, uncles. Like, that was all very normal. His mom would let it happen, knew it was happening. So, like, his story is sad, and I'll give him that. But that doesn't mean it's okay to hurt children, right?
No, I agree. I totally agree.
And in that, sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit. But it's just completely overwhelming to know that everything he's done, and like, it's just like Utah doesn't care. Like, the laws that let Brian Mitchell off, that, as you saw in the article, that was like a worldwide case when Elizabeth Smart got kidnapped. And the same loophole that got him off in Utah is still affecting people 20 years later, and we're just one case.
Wow.
Utah is 70% more likely than any other state to deem somebody incompetent and unrestorable. No other, like, Utah, it's a statistic. It's real. Yeah.
So why do you think that is?
Honestly, in my journey the last 4 years, as I have been trying to fight for laws to be changed, I am watching mayors, fire chiefs, judges, Utah high-ranking officials in government, and also in the Mormon church, all being arrested for child crimes, and pretty horrendous child crimes. The fact that I was told 4 years ago that these laws would take a couple years, but in a couple years they'll change. And here we are 4 years later, and I'm still being told we're a couple years away from it. Like, at what point do I cry wolf here? Because it's like, I could wait another couple years and hold on and hope for justice, that they're really on my side, that they really want difference here, and they want to protect our children. But if Utah government wanted to protect our children, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
And all of the stories I'm hearing, victims' accounts, as I've started sharing my story, I've gone public on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, sharing our story and the ins and outs of what we've been dealing with, and just hearing everybody else's stories that have been going on here, and hearing real victims' accounts of ritual abuse that is happening to them from government officials and church officials, like ritual abuse that is disgusting. Like, it is evil, the things that are happening here. And for me to, and I believe these victims 1,000%, there is no way that they could be lying. Anyways, that is a whole nother chapter to this story. But the only thing that makes sense is they are protecting their own. They have to be. Why would you drag your feet for decades to protect children when it's really that easy? What other laws are more important than these ones? What other laws? Like, make it make sense to me. Explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten, and then I'll back off. But until that happens, I'm going to keep being loud. I'm going to keep ruffling feathers. I'm going to keep poking holes and showing what's really happening here, because the children are being affected. And these crimes against children affect them mentally forever. There's no coming back from it when this has happened to you.
So what is your proposal to do? Because I know you're wanting to change laws, but like, what are you proposing?
So we need to have laws changed for this loophole. One, we need one in place that puts people that are incompetent and unrestorable somewhere. Like, we cannot have these people, and I don't mean that from like they're bad people, they need to be put away. It's like, these people deserve mental help, and they're not getting it. And they need to be somewhere where, if they're a danger to themselves or society, they have to be somewhere where they can't hurt other people. That's it. And we need tougher consequences for child crimes. It is disgusting to have government officials and church leaders, teachers, doctors, all of these people in positions of power here. And I can't speak for outside of Utah, but here in Utah, people with titles of trust all across the board are all being arrested for child crimes. So what's the obsession with children? And what is it here with Utah's church, government, and everything else that it's all connected? Because to me, that's just the only thing that makes sense now.
Is there a separation of church and state in Utah?
There's supposed to be, but no, there's not. They're very connected because they were created at the same time. The church and the state came together at the same time back in the mid 1800s. And I know I have a lot of family who are very involved and love that church. And I am trying to tread waters lightly because I want to be respectful and I want them, I don't want to ruffle feathers, but I also I have been exposed to things that are true and they're happening within these institutions, and consequences are not there for the people that do them. And there's so many people in charge, a part of it, that it doesn't make sense. Consequences need to be tougher. Like Florida, they're putting people to death for it now. And I think that's amazing. If there was an actual consequence to hurting a child, maybe would people think twice? I mean, maybe they would. And if they don't, guess what? Their end outcome is death. So
no, I agree. I don't know what I think about the death penalty, but I do know that people who abuse children like that,
they're the worst of the worst.
Yeah. And there's no rehabilitating those types of people. People who commit sexual crimes, they're not able to be rehabilitated because something's wrong in their brain.
Right. 100%. And as we've seen with Jonathan, something is so twisted in him that he is just getting worse and worse and worse. And he's fixated. He had videos in his possession with children as young as 3. And that the younger was more obsessive to him. And he is just, and from this opportunity, I'm meeting people who catch criminals online that are going after kids. And in that, sent me a screenshot and she's like, I have 61 predators to respond to. And it's just sickening. I just can't even, it's just such a problem here. And it needs to be addressed, and people need to be uncomfortable, and people need to open up to the truth, because that's how people hide in shadows. And if we put the light there, they can't hide. And the shame goes back to those who it deserves to be with.
No, I agree. I mean, it should be a shameful thing, when somebody gets arrested for something like this or gets caught, they should be shamed. They should be thrown under the bus,
run behind a horse, get rid of them. Honestly, I had so much compassion for him in the beginning. I did, because I figured for him to be attacking kids, he had to have had a rough life. I kept justifying it in my head as a human. And then as I learned more and more and more about him, and people are complete strangers are reaching out to me. I knew him. I was terrified him as a child. He's always been creepy. It's just oh my gosh, why am I having compassion for somebody that hurts children? And I didn't, in the beginning, I didn't know how big it really was. And now I realize it's just if you can sit there and hurt a child, and then whether or not you're disabled on any level or you're a government official, but you can face public and pretend that you're not a bad person, you're evil. You're the most evil thing there is. There's nothing more evil than somebody that can hurt a child and then cover it up.
Yeah, they're wolves in sheep's clothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you tried to reach out to Elizabeth Smart?
I have.
You have? Have you heard from her at all?
They responded. This was just shortly after it happened. She responded. She had a complete compassion, and they saw the situation for what it was. But they just said legally they couldn't get involved. But she wished me luck, and maybe someday in the future that might be different. But I did reach out.
It would be great if she could help you out, because this affects, the loopholes are what affected her.
And that's kind of why I reached out. But that was in the very beginning of all of this. I haven't reached back out since then. And, like I said, who knows what that looks like in the future, because I know I always wanted to use my own pain to transfer that to help other people heal. And now I'm in a situation where this almost impacted my son in a way that, it's personal in so many levels, but it's also so much bigger than me and my story. And it goes so much deeper than me and my story. And the only way to get change is to talk about it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, people don't like to be uncomfortable. And just even, you know, everything that we're talking about here, people are going to shut off just because we're talking about this subject.
I've had my phone's blown up already. So it's
but you have to make them uncomfortable. You have to push. You have to do whatever you can to get people to understand that this is a severe problem that is going on, not just, you know, amongst the peasants, but it's actually leaders and people who can make change who are involved in this too.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to, I mean, Elizabeth would be a great person to tackle this, but she's also a part of the Mormon church as well too. So that might be,
she's a mom, and that's where it gets conflicting a little bit for even for myself, because I know a big part of the reason why I've not stood up so far is because I know this is going to create a divide in my personal life, because I have to speak out about things that I know in order for people to know what's really happening. And in that, the people that don't want to believe it, they're going to come out. And it's extremely difficult to believe, especially when you learn about the ritual abuse that's happening to children within church and government institutions. It's demonic and it's evil, and it's so much bigger than just like I said, it's bigger than just me.
So since we're on this subject, can you flesh that out a little bit as far as, I mean, because that's a big statement that, can you flesh that out a little bit?
What am I allowed to talk about on here?
Just don't use the F word if possible. Okay. You know, I mean, she says it all the time, but they don't like us saying the F word. But other than that, you know, honestly, this is my show and I want to know. Okay. And I think it's important to talk about it. So
in recent months, I have started going to rallies and talking with victims. And in this, I have heard it with my own ears out of their victims' mouths of what they went through. And this is all right. So it's almost impossible to believe, but this is really their accounts. This is what they said. One victim, she spoke about from the age of infancy to 11 years old. She was born into the Mormon church, and in that, her parents, as well as other members of the church, were a part of something darker, and it was called the LDS Church of Satan. And this is real, and this is where I love my family, and I'm sorry. This she's now a woman, and she's an advocate for change, and she, you know, but from infancy to 11 years old, adults in black clothing would surround her as she was on an altar. They would take their turns abusing her until her poor little body gave out. And in that time, they would cut the back of her skull and drink her blood.
What?
And this is not just the Mormon church. This is government. This is Hollywood. This is elites. This is why I'm saying it's so much bigger than what we went through, and why I believe there's not change happening is because Utah government officials are being accused of, you know, mayors who are active mayors. Victims are coming out saying that this happened to them, and it's dark and it's disgusting and it's real. And I don't know how else to express it. And I think that's where I'm saying it's so much bigger than what we've gone through. And I think that the change isn't coming because of this. They're involved.
Yeah, hold on. Miss Fancy Pants said, Tim Ballard told me the same thing with my niece, but he was happy to put her on a stage and raise millions off of my own family. Yeah, I guess we all know that these things happen in secret. We try to pretend like it doesn't, or that it's some conspiracy theory.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But we've heard stories like this before, so it's not far-fetched, in my opinion.
They, just to not to necessarily bring politics into it, but it is politics at the same time. The Epstein list, those victims speak about similar abuse. The Hollywood victims talk about similar abuse. It happened at the Hollywood elite parties. Similar abuse is happening everywhere. And in my mind, it's like, what is it about children that they get power from? Like, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it has to come down to they get something so much bigger than we can understand by hurting children that they will do anything to continue to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There was another victim who said she remembers as a child being a victim, and then other children that didn't make it, she would have to help carry out their body parts. That's a real case. And that she's been fighting the city of Riverton for 60 years, trying to bring justice to this. And they won't talk to her.
Oh my goodness.
They she has proof and has taken it to officials. Anyone that has said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, they've been removed from the case. They've ended up refusing to speak with her. The officials have barred her from being on land, like public buildings and stuff. Like, she's not allowed places that she was abused at it's now the Riverton City Hall. It used to be an elementary school back when she was little being abused, but it's now the city hall of that city. And she's not even allowed on the public ground because of her accusations of what she went through. And she has proof and everything. And it's just, nobody wants to listen to her. And it's like I said, it's so much bigger than what I'm going through in my little situation. And it's not little, it's huge.
Yeah.
But
I mean, compared to that, it does seem little. Yeah. I mean, wow. Yeah, that's heavy stuff. But we can't pretend that it's not happening, right?
And unless they have a different explanation, it's like I said, explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten, make it make sense, and I'll back off.
Mm-hmm.
But unless it doesn't make sense, I'm going to make up my own story from all the facts I'm gathering in my fight.
Mm-hmm. So how do we, we're back at the same question. So how do we change? I mean, there's definitely got to be like an intentional separation of church and state in your state.
I think it takes a lot of the people who are in the church to know that these things are happening, but growing up in the church myself, I left it many years ago. So I know I can't speak as a current member or anything like that, but it's really easy to pretend things aren't happening if you could just keep your head down, and it's no way could the people that I've been indoctrinated my whole life to trust in and believe in could be a part of something so satanic when they sit there and preach Christianity.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of ego deaths to admit that you've been lied to. And
and I've seen it just even in Christian churches.
It's not just this church. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of people, I've seen some things happen, and I'm always the one to stand up straight up and tell everybody what's going on and get to the bottom of it and make change. Thankfully, I haven't had to deal with anything like this, nothing like this, but children hurting children and things like that. And that's a whole nother situation, we've been through the ringer on that one. So, it's, and Miss Fancy Pants said, if the church wanted the predators out of their pews, they would remove them. And I agree with that.
I saw a video recently of an ex-bishop, who actually, Miss Fancy Pants is the one that showed it to me. But there was an ex-bishop who he was, sitting there listening to somebody's sins, and in that, the man confessed to molesting his own child for several times throughout years, and he's like, as a bishop, I like knew this family. It broke my heart. Like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I went back to my manual to see what I needed to do in this situation. I called the hotline. They looked up what state I was in, and they said, oh, you're in California. Have him repent and he's fine. You don't need to do anything from here. It's like,
it was a lawyer. It was a lawyer's office that he called.
Exactly. So it's just like, why would you, in what state of mind does that man not deserve to spend the rest of his life in prison? Like, in whose mind, just repent and it's okay? And that's just one of thousands of cases. It's not, it's not just single to him. Like, he's no longer in the church. He left the church over the situation, is what I understand, is because he could not believe that there was not a bigger defense to protect children.
I absolutely could not be a part of any organization that had any, any ties to hurting children or anything like that. So
unfortunately, I think it also runs rampant in families, and they hide that too.
Yeah. And unfortunately it's passed down, like in Jonathan's case.
Yep.
So
what's the fascination here? And we need, like, in my mind, I didn't ever expect to be where I am today with all the knowledge I have today, but it's just comes down to exposing the truth and getting people to understand that it's real, and that once they can understand that, and it's not to say that their institution's not real or the truth or whatever, they can believe in whatever they want to, but the people in charge, the people that they've been told are chosen by God to be in those positions, are really pedophiles. Like, to me, that just doesn't make sense.
I mean, it flies in the face of everything the Bible says. We're told it's better for somebody to tie a millstone around their neck and throw themselves into the sea than to hurt a child. So, I just don't even understand, from beating children to harming them in this way. It's just, it makes no sense to me. I've just been around so many kids that are just so sweet, and knowing that I don't even know what goes on in their home, and I have on occasion found out later on that a child that was in my care at some point, whether in Sunday school or whatever, or I was babysitting them or whatever, I find out that they were going through something like this. And it's mind blowing whenever you see some of the people who are actually the perpetrators of this.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they are God-fearing people. To the public, they appear to be good family people, good church people, good citizen, and the families cover for them. And I know personally distant relative that happened, like, I'm not going to get into details, but it happens in almost every family. There's at least one uncle, one aunt, right? Like, somewhere down the line that everybody protected, but really he was a monster, or she is not subject to one gender.
No, that's highly accurate. That happens all the time. And, I have even felt bad in the past for not talking about the abuse that I suffered, because other people suffered from it, and as a child, I did try to tell my mom once about one of the incidents that happened with another person, and she didn't believe me.
No.
And I was 30 something years old, and my mom and I were having a conversation about it because I had told her when I was a kid, and she's like, I said, "You didn't believe me?" And she's like, "What do you mean I didn't believe you?" And I'm like, "Mom, you did not believe me. You just completely dismissed it." And she's like, "I wouldn't have done that." Well, she did. She totally did. And so, it happens all the time. And like I said, I feel some responsibility for not talking up when I should have, but at the same time, I was a child.
Right. And groomed and all of the things that come along with it. In this fight myself, I had memories flash forward that I didn't even remember. And my dad, he passed away when I was 8 years old from cancer. And there was a family member's significant other that preyed on me. And I didn't remember even about it until I was in my mid-30s fighting for my son.
No, actually, after Alora was born, we had moved to Arkansas, and somebody in our family had gifted me something. And I didn't think anything about the gift or anything like that. And I put it in my house. And then one day I was looking at it and memories started pouring in about what happened to me. And I had to throw that thing in the dumpster because, it reminded me.
Yeah, I guess that's just part of the fight now. I'm sorry that was your experience.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry that you went through everything that you went through. It's unfortunately, it almost seems to be something that most people go through.
It is so much more common than anyone wants to talk about. And I mean, I look at my generation, I'm in my, mid to late 30s, and how many friends have I buried? How many friends are on the street? I mean, not necessarily friends, you know what I mean? But like, we have the homeless population. Everything is, how many of these people were abused as children that didn't get the help they needed, that had ignored signs, that if we knew back then what we know now, all the things, it's like, would our mental health crisis be what it is in America? Because I believe the majority of the people probably have this in their trauma. I would think the majority of humanity has been through it.
Yeah, the majority of the women in prison. My cousin's incarcerated for 25 years in Chillicothe Women's Correctional Facility here in Missouri. And she went and actually did a poll of all of the women and that she had contact with, asking them about, do you have your GED? Do you have a high school diploma? What level of education did you finish? And then she started asking them about, different abuse that they suffered from and stuff like that. And actually, I think every one of them said that they had suffered some kind of sexual abuse. So, and she's trying really hard to create a program that focuses on the trauma that people have experienced in their past to help them to make better choices in the future.
That's amazing. That's exactly what I've wanted to use my life story about, is the trauma I experienced at such a young age, and then all the trauma that followed the years after. I was in rehab at 15 years old. And in that, all of it, my story, I always wanted to use it to help people. And here I am on such a bigger scale. And a situation has been brought to me that now I have a voice to stand on, and a voice and a story. And, people are following, an army's building. And it's not just me up here. There's so many moms so sick of being ignored, and the system failing their children, and them being failed, and then their moms being failed. It's been going on for decades. And it's just like, get it together, Utah legislators. Tell me what's more important. Like, get it together, do something different to make a better future for our children. Because if you don't, you're going to have moms like me on your doorsteps. Like, okay, sorry, not that. bad analogy. The Capitol building, let's say that. Like, I'm ready to have torches. I'm ready to like storm. I'm ready for, not war, but war. Like, let's go. Like, let's go. Let's get to the gritty details of it and what's happening, expose it, and let's change it.
So when are you going to set up a protest?
I recently went to a rally and I had the same thought. It's like, you know what? Like, this is something that's going to take a lot of strength. And so far, I feel like I have been alone in fighting this. And I have been wanting like support in order to get through it. And it just comes down to it. I've got to figure out what this looks like, and I've got to arrange real time. It's time to move forward with something new, and not just hoping that they'll do what's right.
Mm-hmm. And Miss Fancy Pants says she'll be there by your side.
Yeah, girl, we got this.
And I heard that you guys are going to be doing some kind of live together soon, or doing something.
Yeah, that's the plan, is just connecting. We both have a story to tell, different stories, but it's led us both here, and we're moms and we're sick of it. And we're ready for battle.
Mm-hmm. Well, I I commend you for everything that you're doing.
Absolutely.
And I am impressed by your fight and your willingness to change. That's one thing that, I really try to get people to understand is that every choice you make, can be a choice for the good, to change the world, and all it takes is one choice, every day, just wake up to make a choice to do something good that's going to change the world,
It's funny you say that, because what got me ignited in this to begin with is, the prosecutor told us there's nothing we can do. I'm talking to family members about it, friends, and somebody just looked me in the face and they said, this is how it is. What can you do about it? That is literally the question they asked me. And I said, what do they say now? Bet. I was like, let's go.
Right?
Like, let's go. Yeah. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to do something. And here we are.
Well, if I were anywhere new, I can't speak. If I were anywhere near Utah, I would definitely be there with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've started to speak with organizations such as like We Are the People Utah. The stories I've told you about, they are, they've told those victim stories on their podcast, and that's where I've linked up with these people. And at this point, it's just connecting with other victims, other mothers, and I'm just starting to rally, to show, to show up and show that I'm not the only one that wants this change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, have you reached out to Mike King?
No.
What is?
I don't believe so.
Hold on. His podcast. He actually busted Warren Jeffs, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the guy who actually did the investigation, from what I understand, or something like that. Profiling Evil. That's the name of his podcast.
Okay.
Reach out to him because he's very big in this space.
Yeah, and he's got the knowledge on the worlds, it sounds like, going after Warren Jeffs.
Yeah, and he's still, doing investigations, because I tried to give him a flash drive, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a top secret clearance, so I can't take it." So I think he would be a wonderful asset for you.
Okay, great. Well,
so
just check it out.
Just keep reaching out to him, because I think he would serve you well in this journey.
Thank you. I'll definitely reach out.
Okay. Well, Stephanie, is there anything else that you would like to talk to us about or bring up before we go?
I think we kind of hit it all. It's just about that, we can't keep letting these things happen to children, and it can't take it happening to your child for action to be taken. So we need to start listening to victims and realize that change happens when every single one of us parents stand up. Because I'm just a normal person. Like, I'm not looking for a following. I'm not looking for fame or I'm here to fight this battle. And in the end, it takes people like me who are just normal moms, normal dads, who have been through stuff and then don't want other people to go through stuff. And it takes all of us to stand up together.
Yeah. And please, anybody who's listening, if you live in that area, join Stephanie in her fight, because it's important and she needs all the backing she can get. This is just such an important topic, because, there are children today who have not gone through sexual abuse or anything like that who can be saved.
Yeah. Exactly. That was the main thing in my very first news interview. And I said, if it's not my son, whose son is it?
Yeah, I agree. And so I thank you very much, Stephanie, for coming on. And we'll actually invite you back once we have Miss Fancy Pants on, and maybe both of you guys can come on together and have a bigger discussion.
Yeah, her and I live real close, and we intend to get together. And I think this is the beginning of a good friendship for her and I. So
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Because you guys have the fire in your bellies to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's what it takes.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, so much for joining us. And we will continue to do what we can to help you.
Beautiful. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my voice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was really nice meeting you.
It was nice to meet you both.
Thank you. And so thank you, everybody, for being here, and for the replay crew coming in. I know this is a heavy topic, but I thank you for sticking with us. And please go out there and do something good to change the world for the better. Have a blessed evening, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.